Okay, guys, I just wanted to make a quick video talking about marginal analysis. So, marginal analysis is where you are trying to figure out what is the optimal amount to consume. And the marginal comes down to marginal benefits and marginal cost. Sometimes instead of benefits, we'll use utility, but it has the same effect. Remember, utility is just like your satisfaction or your smiley faces. It's just how much happier are you going to get because of whatever you're doing. So we don't look at the total. Okay, we're not looking at the total, although it looks like we should, right? Like if my total happiness is more than my total cost, I'm going to keep consuming. But that's not really the case. So let's go with here. I like to use the example of trips to a buffet. All right. So let's use this as the trips. Let's use this as the total benefit. All right. And then this is the marginal benefit. This will be the total cost. And this will be the marginal cost. All right. So when we're talking about total benefit, this is just how much happier you're getting. So this is your total happiness. And then this one right here, the marginal benefit, is that change in your happiness. It's how much happier are you going to get with this next trip to the buffet. Now, another way to think about this is the most you are willing to pay. So basically, it's like if I were to have a cup of coffee, all right, so this is my quantity 1, 2, 3, and I'm looking at the marginal benefits. I know for me, the most I've ever paid for a cup of coffee is $15. So this right here, for one cup of coffee, the most I'd be willing to pay for it is $15 because I know it's going to benefit me that much. That one cup of coffee is going to benefit me or give me enough happiness worth of $15. But if I were going to buy 2 cups of coffee, right, I'm going to have more coffee. So I'm like, you know what? The most I would pay for another cup of coffee, like the next one would be 10. So like if I was sitting in a cafe, I have the first cup of coffee, it was delicious, right? So I want a second one, but I'm like, I'm not as thirsty. I don't need the caffeine anymore. So I'm sitting there in line and I'm saying, you know what? The most I would pay for this second cup of coffee is going to be 10 because the extra happiness I'm going to get is not as much as the first one. So the most I would pay is 10. Now, if I go back for a third one, right, that's when the caffeine's really starting to kick in. So like I'm starting to bang off the walls. I'm not thirsty at all, right? Like why would I go get the third cup of coffee? Yeah, I don't need it. So there, the most I would pay for a cup of coffee is $0. So if they were giving it away for free, yeah, I'd go get it, right? But it's not going to benefit me anything because I'm already not thirsty. I got the caffeine in me, so like it's not going to benefit me. So when we're talking about the marginal benefit, it is the most you're willing to pay for that next cup or that next trip or that next whatever. Okay, marginal benefit is just looking at the change in consuming. So for example, when we're talking about trips to the buffet, so let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 if you're adventurous like me, 5 trips. This is what your total benefit's going to look like. If you're at 0, right, your total benefit is 0 because you just walked in the door, right? And so you have 0 benefit. But once you take that first trip, right, then you're probably going to have the benefit of $30, right? You're going to load up that plate full of food at the buffet to where your total benefit's going to be 30. Let's say you eat that, you take another trip. Let's say it's now 15, right? Because you're getting full, you're not needing as much food anymore. So, it's only worth about $15 to you. You take a third trip, the most you paid was $5, right? Like you're starting to get really full and you're like, nah, I don't think so, right? The most, I'll get a little bit, right? Then the next one, you're starting to get really full to where that next plate, they would have to give it to you for free if you were going to consume. So the marginal benefit of that fourth trip is 0, right? So each trip to the buffet, you're getting more full, the less you would pay for that trip, right? So these are the marginal benefits, I'm sorry. So like if we were looking at total benefits, it would look something like this. Let's look at what happened with that fifth trip. On that fifth trip, right, we went from a total benefit of 50 to 40. All of a sudden, we started getting sick, right? We should not have done that fifth trip because now we have a negative marginal benefit, so negative 10. So when it comes to marginal benefit, I kind of laid out the numbers for you as the idea of how much benefit you're getting per trip. So the first trip to the buffet, you get $30 benefit, 15 because you're going from 30 to 45. 45 to 50 is 5. 50 to 50 is 0, right? So marginal is just looking at the change. Now, at the buffet, right, you walk in, the first thing you have to do is pay. So guess what? The trip to the first trip, the total cost to do that is going to be $20, okay? So guess what your total cost is for every trip after that? It's just $20, right? Because you don't have to pay anything more. Okay. So now your marginal cost of the first trip, right? Just to walk in, all right? You went from $0 cost sitting outside to walking in, you had to pay $20. So the marginal cost of the first trip is $20. But the marginal cost of the second trip is 0. So marginal cost is 0 all the way down. Okay, just like a buffet, right? They're not going to charge you to go up to the line again, so it's just $0. So in this example here, we got to look at the marginal benefits and the marginal cost. All right? Whenever something is going to make you happier more than what it's going to cost you, you consume. So for the first trip, right, we're having a marginal benefit of 30 and a marginal cost of 20. So yes, we're going to consume. What about the second trip? The second trip, marginal benefit 15, and it's going to cost us $0. So we're going to consume. For the third trip, even though the marginal benefit's 5, even though the marginal benefit is decreasing, all right, you are still getting benefit. You're still having more marginal benefit than marginal cost. So just off of that, you are going to consume. The fourth trip, right, the marginal benefit 0, the cost is 0, so it doesn't cost you anything, and you're going to benefit 0, so it's the same. So you might as well go. You might as well consume. However, on the fifth trip, right, all of a sudden you're negative marginal benefit. So you're actually getting sick, and the cost is 0. So in this one, you don't consume. So don't consume. What happened here was your marginal benefit greater than or equal to your marginal cost. That's when you consume. But whenever the marginal cost is more than the marginal benefit, that's when you don't consume. You actually consume less. Okay. So that's the marginal analysis. That is the marginal decision, is the marginal benefit and the marginal cost. Do not look at the total. In economics, we only look at the marginal. We only look at the change per trip, per cup, per whatever. We only look at the marginal. So in this example here, cups of coffee are, let's say, $5. All right, so the cup is $5. We would keep consuming, and the cost would still be $5 per cup. So in this case, the optimal amount of cups of coffee we would buy is 2, because the marginal benefit is more than the marginal cost, and we would not buy the third one because on that one the marginal cost is more than the marginal benefit. So we don't consume this one. So in terms of optimal, the optimal cups, like the last one you're going to do, the optimal amount is going to be wherever the marginal benefit is equal to the marginal cost. Okay? So that is marginal analysis. All right. You might be able to think about this now whenever you do go buy something, right? Like if I were going to buy a cup of coffee and 2 cinnamon rolls, I'm thinking like, okay, well, do I need that second cinnamon roll? What is the marginal benefit of that second cinnamon roll? What is the marginal cost of the second cinnamon roll? And then I make my decision from there. Okay, so this is a very useful tool. Hopefully it makes sense now. So good luck to you, and I'll see you around.